All right.
Always an iffy start with my computer. And I am wearing my.
What do you got on? Oh, you got your Mickey shirt on. Julie just got back from Disneyland.
I just will show this and then put
Yes, yes.
But
I love it. So look out for Julie, you guys. She's well armed.
It actually does make sounds when you do that.
I can hear it a little bit. Well, that was a good one. That's so cool that you got one of those. I love it.
I splurged, but yeah, I'm, yeah.
We got to bring those toys back with us from Disneyland.
It was too fun. All right, so we're back, at least today. Oh, I'm Julie Hawkins, Julie Mickey Mouse Disneyland Hawkins. No, I'm Julie Hawkins, the Biz Psychic. And my partner in psychicness is Tammy Langowski.
Yep, Tammy's Intuitive Services and tammy'sintuitive.com for my website. You can find me on social media, Tammy's Intuitive Services, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Tammy's channel chats, YouTube.
Wow.
So,
I'm so impressed that I'm with this woman here, so I can't keep up with that.
And same for you. Back at you. Yeah, so we actually do have a question. Why we're here today.
So it's from our stalwart Daphne, and it could be a little bit controversial, but I think it's an important question to ask. I skimmed over it. I didn't read the whole thing yet. Because Daphne's questions are multi-part usually. And so do you want me to read it and you go first? You want to read it?
That's whatever way you want to do it.
I'll read.
Okay, you want to read it? Okay.
All right. They're chomping at the bit too, though. Okay, and I haven't really read any of it. All right. She says, I have a question on abortion rights. So controversial at this point in our history. Okay. I'll skip over the
intro.
her viewpoint because okay. She says, I'd like to take a step back and view this from a high spiritual level, this issue on abortion rights. The party that is having no say in this matter are the unborn fetuses. What's the collective consciousness of unborn fetuses' view on abortion? When does a fetus have a soul? And then she says, do they understand why the mother made the decision? Can they forgive her? So we'll go into that. And how can the mother make peace with the soul of that unborn fetus? I've seen mothers feel so guilty about their whole lives. What does this take so that there will be healing on both sides?
Yeah, that's a good point. That last part too. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that is very true. Okay. So if you guys something first, and go for it. I mean, I'll be rereading it just a little bit.
I suspect that that our guides are going to have similar viewpoints on this. So we'll start from the high view, which is, remember, every soul makes a choice or a commitment before incarnating. And in the case of those that don't incarnate, that soul is still there, and it is still non-physical. It is non-physical energy, but it has still made a choice to not incarnate into a human body at that point in time. It wants to go to. They want me to go to, and there's probably more. I think you'll fill in on that, but they really want me to go to. So, does a fetus have a soul? Yes, it has a soul. Do they understand why the mother made the decision? And it's not really, we're going to say it's not really the mother that made the decision. These were all agreements that were made prior to incarnating. And so everybody has their part to play in this. And yes, of course, it understands from a different non-human perspective. It is not the the commitment or the choice or the decision that that fetus made to come into it is the decision to not come into this world that it had made. For a variety of reasons, it doesn't really matter what reasons you think it had. It was an agreement that was made prior to the mother's actually, it was their agreement to not have that soul incarnated into a human being. Wow, that was new information for me. The soul and the fetus, they come at it from a different perspective around forgiveness. There is nothing to forgive. This was an agreed on choice, and it was for the best and highest benefit of all parties concerned, and all parties concerned agreed to this choice, or sometimes what seems like isn't a choice, but it was, or that pathway, we'll call it that pathway. So as for a mother making peace about that, I'm going to speak to that from a personal perspective, because I have had that experience. And it was really, really, really hard to make that choice. But at time in my life, I was grateful that I had the ability to make that choice, because I already had a child and I was a single parent, and I wasn't making a lot of money, and I couldn't, in good conscience, bring another child into the world and not know how to support it and take care of my other child as a single parent. Her father was really had chosen to recede from view for many years. So while I had some family, it was a very challenging job for me as a single parent. So it was the right thing for me to make. It never loses impact for me. I don't think about it very often, but it never loses impact for me. It was a really difficult, painful decision to make. And every once in a while, there are times I wished I hadn't done it, but it was the right thing for me to do at that time. So I forgive myself because it was the right thing to do for all concerned. And that fetus, that soul, understood that from the beginning. So I'm at peace with that. I think I kind of skimmed through the first part, so I may go back and add some stuff, but why don't you take over and share what your guides are saying?
Okay, Julie. Well, thank you so much for sharing that personal story, because I think, there's many people, of course, in that situation. So, and you're right. I mean, it depends on each person's, where they're at, what's going on in their life to make those decisions. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so and earlier I was smiling, not when you were talking about that, but something else you're talking about. I smiled, it's only because I heard your lightsaber go off. So if suddenly I was smiling about something that might have been serious at that moment, that's why I smiled, because it was just funny. Okay. So anyhow, again, I'm just taking a look at the questions too. Let's see. What's the
read it again for you?
Well, I've got it right here, so I'll just kind of thank you. What's the collective consciousness of aborted? Sometimes when I say it out loud, it might help me too. What's the collective consciousness of aborted fetuses' views on abortion, guides? They said, well, there was an understanding, much of what Julie just spoke about, whether it was their exact words right now. They do not see it with the same sorrow that our human beings we here on the planet might view it as. There is this understanding, and we'll call it an agreement also, about this connection and contract, we'll call it, with the agreement with the mother, that this would be an experience in and of itself for the aborted fetus and the mother. Yet another experience to be had, they're saying, okay, of many experiences we choose to have. Um, when does a fetus have a soul? Well, there is always the soul present. There's always the soul present. Now, I want to say something that jumped in my head is when my daughter, and I don't know how far along I was, weeks, maybe, I wish I could remember. But it was interesting. I remember when my guide said, because I kept saying, has she entered her body yet? Because I could always still communicate with her, but has she entered her body yet in the womb? And it was funny, for a while they'd say, nope, not yet, not yet. She's still out. And then I remember literally driving out of my work's parking lot and asking my guides again, and they said, we're happy to say that she has. So that, it's really interesting, right? And so the soul, I just jumped in my head when I was thinking about this. So, the soul is there, whether it's, in the fetus or not. Again, they're telling me it's choice of the soul of when to really, if it's going to actually come in full on or not be. So that's, for me, I'm kind of getting, yes, it does have a soul. Okay, because I guess your question wasn't when necessarily comes in. Okay, and do they understand why mother made that decision? Oh, yes, again, this was part of the agreement. This was part of the experience. That soul is in alignment with helping the mother have this experience, and all is okay. All is okay is what they're saying. All is good in this decision, okay? Because it is a mutual decision is what I'm getting. Do they understand why mother made that decision? Can they forgive her? Can the souls forgive her? Nothing to forgive, nothing to forgive. Because again, we're going to go back to, this was an understanding and agreement on both souls' parts. They said, we do not say this lightly, and we do not want you to think, oh, an easy answer to make everybody feel better. But in actuality, that is what we're telling you, that it does work that way. The soul, the fetus's soul, wants nothing but love for that mother. And out of love is what was contracted to have this experience with one another. We can assure you that soul will come back in and incarnate when it's ready to do so, whether it's with mom, that same mother, or it's somebody else. So no need to worry that it didn't like lose its chance, to have an earthly experience. And how can the mother make peace with the soul of the unborn fetus? To understand what we are speaking of, to understand that the agreement was there initially, that the mother has to understand, to love herself, to understand that she has not harmed this child's soul is still very much alive. And that to take time, what they're telling me, to take time like with any other experience in what it taught you. How did you feel about it? What were the feelings that came out? To understand them, to accept them, to there's another word we're trying to get, but to look at them, basically, to look at the feelings, acknowledge them, I guess is the word, and to understand that all is well. But mainly it is to see what emotions came out as a result for the mother. Sometimes it is the sadness. Okay, let's go further into the sadness, they say, not right this moment, but they mean that's, you're asking yourself, let's explore this sadness a little bit more. Why am I sad? Go pick it all the way down, they say, all the way down to, maybe the core. There might even be that core that is revealed to you as to why the experience happened, so to speak, and where that agreement really started from. Other lifetimes can have an effect on that too. There could be, we're giving an example, it could be a lifetime of, not for everybody in this case, but there could be an example of a woman who had many children. They're showing me 10 children for some reason. And the toll it took on her to have so many children, physically, mentally, everything, right? I mean, it's exhausting. Of course, the love is there naturally too with your children, but they're just showing me that there might be that opportunity again to go there. And then there was a decision made that that's not where you want it to go this time. So that's kind of what they're giving me on that. And then let me just see here really quick. And a good question, what will it take so that there will be healing for both sides? I get two simple words, love and acceptance, that things do go on. There's no, you don't have a baby that's going to be meeting you on the other side someday, baby soul saying, what did you do?
Right.
What were you thinking? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There's going to be love and understanding and awareness, and all the awareness is just like thrown at you, when you're together. There's a lot of oh, I get it. Okay, I see, what this did for me. And thank you for for the agreement we made. It's all love. It's all love. So understand that instead of going there to get it, understand it, and please take it here is what we would say with that. Okay.
It was all really good stuff. A couple of things came up as you were talking, and I don't know if this happens for you. It doesn't sound like it does, but for me, sometimes when they're talking, it's hard for me to grasp some of it, and so I have to come back and slow it down.
Yeah, definitely.
More. So what they said to me was that there is consciousness prior and consciousness after. And what this means is that they're saying that there is soul to soul communication. Mm-hmm. So if you go back to how we talk about a soul, we talk about the soul as the vehicle, not the oars in the canoe, but the canoe itself, right? The whole container. And a lifetime, or even a potential lifetime is the oar. And sometimes an oar is let go into the stream and out into the consciousness to go and maybe come back another time as different potential. So these agreements, these commitments, these agreements and contracts are made in this non-physical consciousness as soul to soul communication. Remember, the fetus is not the one making the decision, it is the souls. The souls are having the communication. And part of your consciousness of the soul, not as a human being, when you are in non-physical, because there are too many lifetimes to come through for a person to make that decision, right? When you go into the non-physical, you're really no longer that person making the decision. You are your soul making that decision. What is next for this soul to, or for the potential human lives to evolve? Okay. So, and the soul has no, oh my God, they just said no. What did they say? No bone, no dog in the game, no bone in the, I don't know what, it came and went so quickly. They have no bone to pick, it's just all evolution. There's no preference or non-preference. The preference is for evolution. That's what the preference is in those human lifetimes. Remember, we see the souls as perfect. So if that baby's soul said, yeah, that oar needs to let go and go a different way until it's ready to come back and fulfill a full human lifetime, then that's okay. So it's there, and that's just pragmatic, it's like, good, okay, that one's not ready to come, we'll let go of that one and move on to one that is. Mm-hmm. Or maybe none in a lot of people's lifetimes. So they just wanted to talk about that. It's really soul to soul communication and consciousness prior to making that. It's not even making that decision. There's so many agreements made before one incarnates into a lifetime. And if that is part of an agreement that is made, then it is something to be experienced in a lifetime. So that's all we wanted to say about that.
Yeah, great. Makes sense to me.
Right. Yeah. No, and to just reinforce, nothing to forgive. There's just nothing to forgive. It's if they want to say, if we thought, or if you as humans thought about every possible potential human being, first of all, your earth would have collapsed with the weight of that humanity. It is not meant to have that much humanity come into fruition with so many, we'll just get graphic, eggs and sperm. It cannot happen. It can't physically happen to a woman. And so there's a reason for that. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay, no, that's great. Well, that's wonderful. I hope that, I hope that brings some clarity on that. I think I think, it is such a controversial thing, isn't it? There are going to be people that just really maybe, are not in alignment with what we're saying here now. And it's okay. That's,
But, it's so hypocritical. Here's the political part that's going to come out. But if you just take it factually, okay, your government, they're going to do it for me. Your government is the part of the party that is in government is saying this child has a right to be born. Okay, we're going to make it so that you don't have a choice in that matter. And that on the other hand, they're saying, you cannot come in and tell me what to do in my house or in my bedroom with my guns or my family. It's complete.
That doesn't make sense, does it? Sorry.
Complete disconnect. And that is just bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just a bullshit struggle that they want you to buy into. And people, right. And now this is me, people should be marching in the streets. It's okay to have people have AR-15s, but it's not okay for, but you have to have a driver's license and you have to jump through all kinds of hoops just to vote. Mm-hmm. No. And no.
Right. It's crazy. It is. It just is. So
and that whole perspective and pathway comes from a faction of wanting to control and be in power. Mm-hmm. And the way to do that is through fear and just control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, frustrating. Okay, for me.
It is.
Okay, well, that was a great question, Daphne. Anything else you want to add to that, Tammy?
I don't think so. I'm just hoping that we, I think we kind of addressed it for you and the best that we can. Well, what I hear is just to each his own, in your decision making, right? And that's why there should not be really any rules, regulations as far as what we can see, what I'm getting anyway, spiritually from that side for when it comes to women's bodies and their own bodies and making choices with that.
Exactly. And who makes the decision whether the woman, if in matters of life and death, whether it's a viable or maybe not viable baby or fetus versus the mother who has a full life maybe ahead of her, has an existing life. Right. Why is that a government's choice?
Right.
No. Okay.
I agree. It seems so obvious. That's what's just so crazy. But
it does seem so obvious, right? Thank you very much. Okay.
It does. It does.
If I were younger, I'd be marching in the streets because, that ship has sailed for me. I don't have to worry about that. But it's much more than that. It is a potential collapsing of democracy. And I personally never thought I would hear those words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I think it's.
And I'm asking them, where does that stand? Oh, maybe that's a question for next time. Where does democracy stand in the United States? Let's do that next time.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big conversation.
That would be a good subject. Because things are changing. Things are just a little strange out there. So, well, but thank you again, Daphne, for that question, because that is a good question. And we hope that we shed some light from our perspective, for you that might make sense. Yeah.
I'm just writing it down or I'll forget.
You know what they just showed me too? It's really interesting. They just showed me it's time for us. We don't mean not to do something about things. So please understand when I say it's time for us to take a back seat and view some of this, because what they were showing me is there is so many chaotic, things happening in the world in general, right? And for this, there's always that. And there's a lot of battling of ideas and so forth that sometimes you will, I don't mean to make light of it, but they're just showing me at a movie theater and you're eating your popcorn going, wow. And you're in a different state of mind. You're just like, I'm at the movies being entertained right now. Because what they're saying is not that you shouldn't jump in, do your part, whatever you have a calling for. That's not the point. The point is sometimes you need to take a break from some of it.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. It's a bit crazy right now. There's a lot of good in the world too, but there's some crazy times that are being highlighted right now. And so that's what they mean is it's almost disassociating a little bit at times that you may need to do that. We don't mean that an unhealthy way of disassociating, but where you can kind of just take a breather and be a little bit more in amusement and entertained by it. Again, not saying that we should just, fall silent and not do anything. You get our point though, right? It's balance. It's kind of a balance. So anyway, just wanted to share that because they were, because they want me to see it with humor.
And they're right, totally. Sometimes you have to have that humor. I mean, even I, who was glued to the news for a long time, I have taken a backseat to that. And now I just gonna pick up my lightsaber and fight.
That's right. That's right. She's got her lightsaber.
I think it needs batteries. I think I wore it out. Not intentionally. I think it was sitting in
I love it.
on.
Did your friend get one too, Julie? I meant to ask. No.
She barely knows what Star Wars is. But she did have fun. She did have fun piloting the Millennium Falcon.
I love it.
So
I had these visions of the two of you going, doing your.
I'll have to post more pictures on my Facebook. I download them.
That'd be fun.
I'm just going to put this out for next week so that, you can ask other people or you can make sure to tune in. But so the questions as we have them right now are, where does democracy stand in the US and the world or the world? And is there a comparison to Nazi Germany or other struggles in history? Wow. Okay. Thank you. I think my guides want to talk about that. That's why they gave me those questions. So
probably.
All right.
Okay.
We love you and appreciate you and the few of you that we have.
We do appreciate you. Yeah. So remember, as we always say, bring us the questions and we will, channel some responses for you to things that other people will benefit from hearing as well. So
I don't know whether it will be next week or in 2 weeks. I don't know where we got with that. I mean, I will let you know, or if you don't see us next week, then you'll know. But yeah,
we'll be back.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, next time we are two psychic moms. We love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. You know where you can find Tammy. She's all over the place. And I am not, but I am available for readings, as is Tammy, and keep your questions coming until next time.
All right. See you. Have a good week or 2 weeks.